What a masculine man wants, but he will never say. What he wants is for you to be submissive to him. He wants you to fully submit to his leadership. Some masculine men might actually say this, but most men won't. Many men whose masculine instincts are online will be wanting this, but they won't necessarily even know how to communicate this. Some men whose masculine instincts are online will also have fear of sharing this. But deep down, every single man whose masculine instinct is online wants you to fully submit to him, with no exceptions. The only men who would not want this are deeply emasculated. Their masculine instinct is suppressed, and they've got a lot of shame, guilt, and unhealthy stories around this deep instinctual need. Now, when we talk about submission, for those of you who might be newer to my channel, I am not talking about being subjugated by a man. I'm not talking about becoming a doormat. I'm not talking about being less than a man, because submission does not make you weak. Submission is what makes, or part of what makes, a woman beautiful, because to truly submit is to honor your heart. That's what real submission is. What many women do, what they think submission is, actually dishonor their heart. They follow a man's leadership when it doesn't feel good for them, when you feel fear, when you feel shame, when you feel resistance, but you do it anyway because you don't want to be judged, you don't want to be abandoned, you don't want him to be emotionally reactive, you don't want him to think that you're too difficult, and so you do the thing. That's not submission. It might look like submission on the surface, but it's you dishonoring your heart. It might look feminine on the surface, but it's actually you and your masculine because you are trying to control a man's perceptions of you. You are trying to get him to see you as compliant, agreeable, not too difficult, and ultimately worthy, right? If you just do enough stuff, do what he wants, he will see you as worthy. That's what's going on underneath, but it doesn't work that way. Because the more that you comply, and the more that you follow a man's lead when you're dishonoring your heart, you're hurting yourself, number one, and you're hurting your self-worth. You're actually communicating that you don't have self-worth. And then a man's not going to treat you as worthy either. Submission, it's a different animal entirely. It's a beautiful thing. Submission is when you are following a man, you're not resisting him, you're not resisting his leadership, but you're doing it for you. When you follow the man's leadership, you're doing it for you because it feels good. Because you're receiving his care. Because leadership is a form of care. Assuming, of course, that his intentions and his leadership is to take care of you, to make your life better. On a very simple, easy to understand example, when a man opens up a door for you and you move through it, you are submitting to his leadership. Very simple leadership. But that's what you're doing. He's leading and you're following. You are submitting. And of course, hopefully, it should be relatively easy to submit to something like that because it's obviously helpful. Unless, of course, you've got a lot of wounding around like, oh, I can open the door myself. I'm an independent woman. I can take care of myself. Though most of my followers are not still stuck in that. If you are still stuck in that kind of belief, that feminist mindset, that's okay, as long as you can be open to shifting it, because that's going to be part of your belief system that's keeping you stuck. Most of my viewers tend to have the opposite problem, where what you've been doing with the man is complying rather than truly submitting. And so the idea, and even the word, right? Even the word submission can be triggering for a lot of women. If you have been used, if you have been taken advantage of, if you have been taken for granted in some kind of way from a man, and not even necessarily in a relationship, but even in childhood, because what is happening in childhood, not just to little girls, but also to boys, you are learning to be compliant, and you may equate that with being submissive, but it's not. You're learning to fawn. You're learning to comply. You're learning to be obedient, even if it doesn't serve you, even if your parents are reactive in some kind of way, even if they're not loving, even if they're putting themselves first, even if they're not trying to understand your heart and what you're experiencing. That's where little girls first learn to be compliant. And I'm not talking about that at all. So we're going to talk in a moment about why this is so important for you to be submissive, and why if you are not submissive, right, you're either compliant or you're resistant, neither of which is going to help you. But learning to be submissive is actually going to be so important to get what you want in your love life. But before we go further, I am going to introduce myself. Hello, my name is Zach Rohde. I'm here to lead you into creating the relationship of your dreams using your feminine energy and what I call feminine communication to inspire a man into cherishing you. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, make sure you do that below. Hit the notification bell and be sure to like this video because, of course, I'm going to make sure it's a good one for you. And if you would like help learning how to shift out of your unhealthy control patterns that are pushing away the devotion that you need and crave in your love life, then go below this video, open up the description, and you're going to see the link to relationshipofyourdreams.com. That is my main website. Click on that, watch the video at the top, and you'll see all of my offers below that. But start with that video. It's going to be really helpful for you. Okay, so why is it important for a woman to be submissive to a man? So understand that a masculine man, the masculine instinct, needs a woman who is respecting him and respecting his leadership. How do you respect a man's leadership? Well, by not resisting it, by not trying to control it, by not trying to get him to see you in a certain way. Now, if you are being compliant, if you're fawning, then you're probably trying to get him to see you a certain way. So you're actually leading, you're actually controlling, you're actually disrespecting him unintentionally, but much worse, you're disrespecting yourself and communicating that your needs don't matter. If you resist, if you're resistant, if you judge when a man's trying to lead in some kind of way, if you're questioning things instead of just following his leadership, well, you're communicating that you don't respect his leadership. You're communicating you don't trust his leadership. You're communicating that you don't want to receive his leadership. And because a man's greatest need is to be the leader in the relationship and be seen and treated as the leader, you are not meeting his needs. His main need, his primary need, you're not meeting it. So if you continue to do that, if you do either of the things, the complying or the resisting, you are eventually going to lose any desire that the man has to want to take care of you. It's just going to check out of the relationship. He'll find someone else, find a woman who is truly submissive. It would be the equivalent, right? If I was talking to men, I'd be like, a woman needs to be cherished. She needs to feel your heart online for her. She needs to be taken care of financially, emotionally, sexually, in every single way. She needs to feel your love for her. And if you're not able to deliver that because you're stuck in judgment, you're stuck in resentment, you're stuck in obligation, you're too weak, you're too timid, if she can't feel your love, then her greatest need isn't being met, right? Same thing. So we're just talking about men. Most men will not say this unless they're like really dominant, really healthy, and really in touch with their feelings. They're like, I'm just going to say because this is what I want. And obviously that would be what I would describe as like, yes, this is truly a masculine man. But then there is a lot of men, like I said, who their masculine instinct is relatively online, but they've still got a lot of conditioning. They've still got a lot of fears. They can be an amazing man for you, a truly devotional, confident partner, but they've got a little bit of stuff in the way. And one of those things is they might be holding back what their truth is. And part of that might be because they're just not fully aware of their truth because there's so much conditioning in the way. So as an example, prior to me discovering polarity, I had a very extensive background in self-development. Like I used to be a pickup artist. I used to move through my fears every single day, trying to meet women in just out in the world, on the street, in bars, everywhere. And I tried to do it as authentically as possible. I really didn't like the lines and the routines and all of that garbage. And I was relatively successful with women. And I did learn how to lead, but I learned how to lead more because I thought that was what women wanted. Like that was what I was told by pickup artists. So I would just lead. It's like, if you don't lead, then nobody's going to lead. But I wasn't fully in touch with my instinct to lead with devotion. So I would lead because it was like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be successful. But my heart wasn't fully online for women. And that's part of the reason I was a pickup artist in the first place, because if my heart was fully online, then I wouldn't be doing that. I would be just looking for my wife and that's it. But that's a side topic for another video. The point is that even though my heart wasn't fully online, I still had this desire, this instinct for a woman to follow my leadership. It's like I wasn't fully online, so I really wanted to lead, but when I was leading, I wanted her to follow it. I wanted her to respect it. I didn't want her to resist it. I also didn't want her to fawn in any kind of way. But I wouldn't have said back then, and I never did say back then, like, I want a woman who's really submissive. I didn't even think about it. And it was because I still had a lot of societal indoctrination that was going through my head. Even though I was breaking out in many, many ways, right? Picking up women is still not really considered socially acceptable, at least not for women judging men about it. But I just wasn't comfortable with the idea. It felt wrong to me in some kind of way. It's like, that would make a woman weak. That would make a woman less than. And I even remember talking to my wife about this very topic. And one of the reasons I picked her, it drove me nuts that she would resist my leadership sometimes. But compared to other women anyway, she wouldn't do much as far as like complying. Very little. She still did some with me, but eventually she really got sick of my selfish leadership and she would kind of stop. So it drove me nuts, but at the same time, she's at least demonstrating some amount of self-worth where she's not just going to go along with everything that I say. So anyway, we had a conversation about how many women would just be really compliant and kind of doormats with me. And, the man would be fully leading the relationship and the woman would be fully following. And we were making fun of it. Like, that's ridiculous. This would have been like maybe 7 years ago, a long time ago. So several years before polarity. We were making fun of it because it just seemed those women were so weak, so unworthy, like they're not in their self-worth at all. And it's true. Like most women who follow a man to that degree, they are actually not in their self-worth. And that's so much of the problem, especially if you've experienced that before. It's like, yeah, this doesn't work. No, it only doesn't work if your intention is off. It only doesn't work if you are doing this, if you are submitting, it's not even submitting, but following a man when it doesn't feel good for you in some way. And your body knows. Like your body knows when you're not being taken care of, when you're not being treated as an equal. And I don't mean equal as in the same. I mean, it's like your needs matter just as much as a man's needs. The man's need for respect is as important as the woman's need to be cherished. Okay? So this is where feminine communication comes in, because as you learn how to let go, as you learn how to follow a man's lead, there's going to be lots of times where it's like, this doesn't feel good. I got these fears coming up. I got this anger coming up, this resistance coming up. And you need to learn feminine communication to communicate what's coming up for you so that a man understands what's going on, so that he can either adjust his leadership or he can give you the reassurance, the care, the support to help you let go. That's the only way that you can truly follow a man and be in your self-worth. Because being a follower doesn't mean being passive. It doesn't mean like, I'll just do whatever my man says, no matter what. That is going to be a recipe for you complying and fawning. Absolutely. You must learn how to communicate your needs. You must know what your needs are. You must know what your feelings are. You must know what the problem is that's in the way of you fully letting go and opening up and being vulnerable. And you must be able to communicate it. And you specifically must be able to communicate it vulnerably, in a feminine way, in a way that is not interfering with a man's greatest need of respect, right? Because there's many ways you can communicate that stuff in a way where he's just going to get turned off. He's going to get reactive. He's going to get defensive. He's going to do it, but he's going to do what you want, but it's out of obligation. So many different ways where you're not communicating in this beautiful feminine way. And it's going to cause so many issues in your love life. It's going to push away really healthy men, and it's going to push away really healthy behavior from men. Push away their devotion, their affection, their desire to plan for you, to initiate, to take care of you, all because you don't know how to communicate your needs, or because you just don't communicate them. So if you would like help learning how to communicate in this beautiful way, learn how to let go with a man, follow a man in a way that's actually safe for you and self-honoring, where your heart is being taken care of, you're not doing anything where you're getting hurt or risking getting hurt, I would love to help you. This is a big part of what I help women do. And to get that help, go below this video, open up the description, click on my website, relationshipyourdreams.com, and there is the main video that I do encourage you to watch at some point, but right below that video is a button to book a call with me. And on this call, what we will do is we'll talk all about what's going on in your love life, the problems you're experiencing, why your needs aren't being fully met. I'll give you some coaching to help you understand what you need to do to shift your experience. And from there, I'll know, can we help you in our academy? Can we give you the support that you need to make all of these shifts and learn how to inspire a man into fully taking care of you without you trying to do anything at all? And then you can decide whether you'd like to work with us. It's a great call. We have a lot of fun. You might cry. And if that resonates with you, if you'd like to speak with me, I would love to speak with you too. And I will see you on that call. That's it for this one.